Hello and welcome to the third of the Stage Tech Digital Subtitle Training series of videos. Once again, my name is Ollie, I'm the Program Systems Manager at Stage Tech. If you haven't seen the first two videos, stop right now and go and watch those first. I'm going to keep saying it, these videos cover what is usually a paid-for training session, but we're putting them out to the world during the COVID-19 situation to encourage high-quality subtitles. If you find them useful, please donate to Stage Tech so that I can get a bonus. I'm joking, we're a charity. Any donations go towards supporting our work to ensure deaf audiences have equal access to the arts and cultural sector. There's a link in the description. Right, let's just crack on with it and go straight into section 3, how are people using subtitles? So we're going to have a look at a little bit at how are subtitles used by the users. And this is so that you can really understand what people are doing so that you know the best way to implement it to enable them to do that. So the BBC did a study looking at how people use subtitles on TV. And obviously this is specifically for TV, not all digital, but it's still really useful. So what they did is they had some people watching TV with the subtitles on, and then obviously a control with them not, and they had eye tracking technology that basically follows where your eyes look on the screen so they know what you're looking at. And what they found was that people would have the sound on and they would have subtitles, but their eyes would not be staying on the subtitles. Their eyes were jumping around the screen. So they would look at the subtitles, they would be lip reading, they'd be looking at the action, they'd be looking at all of it. And this just shows that it's not about muting it and just having subtitles on. People don't just read the subtitles. So if you're ever worried that, having subtitles would encourage people to not listen to the hard work that you put into the sound, it's not true. They're still going to listen to it and they use it together with other cues. And that again highlights the point I made in the previous video about how there are different skills to access information and people use these in different ways to different amounts. It's all individual, and our job is just to give them the option to use different things how they want to. So a study in 2015 by Ofcom looked at, again, TV subtitles, and what they found is that 10% of TV audiences use subtitles when watching TV. Of these 10%, 80% use subtitles for reasons other than hearing loss. So only 20% of the 10% are using subtitles because of hearing loss. And again, same as what I was saying in a previous video, there are so many other benefits to subtitles and so many other people who do benefit from subtitles. When you make things accessible in a way that is universal design, it's not just for one specific group of people. Everyone can benefit from it and draw from it as and when they want to. And this just really highlights that. Looking at a similar study, but this time looking online. So this is, digital. With BBC iPlayer, 20% of content on BBC iPlayer is viewed with subtitles. And I believe 90% of that was viewed with the sound on, which again reinforces the point about using lip reading and sound and subtitles all together to experience what they're watching. And now I just want to highlight something. 20% of people watching it on BBC, firstly that's 1 to 2 million people a day, but also that 20% is double the percentage as there is on TV. On TV, only 10% of viewers are watching it with subtitles. Now, this wasn't specifically looked into, but my reasoning for why this is the case is reputation. On TV, not everything is subtitled. A lot of stuff is, but a lot of stuff isn't. So when I go to watch TV, when I'm visiting my parents' house, it's kind of, my parents say, let's go watch a movie, let's go watch some TV together as a family. And it's a little bit of a Russian roulette because we might find something and say, that looks good, let's watch that. And it doesn't have subtitles. Whereas BBC subtitles just about everything. I think not completely everything, but almost everything. And they're known for being accessible. They're known for subtitling everything. And so if I'm sat at home and I'm thinking, what should I do today? Let's watch something. And my choices are something where it may not be subtitled or something where it probably will be subtitled. I'm more likely to go for the option where I know that if I find something I like, chances are it will be subtitled. This is actually why I don't own a TV. I have Netflix because I know that Netflix subtitles everything, but I don't watch TV because most of the time it's not subtitled, and there's just no point in me watching that and paying for that. What this really shows is the importance of building momentum and building that reputation for being accessible. It should be required of everyone, yes, but not everyone does it. So if you can become known for being accessible, if you can let your audiences know that you are routinely accessible, then you're going to build up a lot more audience who rely on that. You're going to really draw them in. This is why we always say to people when they're doing events, sort of a scattergun method is not as good as having a regular schedule. If you have, say, a regular talk that you do throughout the year, and you say that the second and fourth Thursday of the month is the talk that will be subtitled, your audiences will know that, and so they can start getting used to that and being more comfortable with that. So it's not that they go, I want to do this, right, let's go and research to find the one that I can access. They go, oh, that looks good, that will probably be accessible on this date, let's go then. And it just makes life easier. And again, it's that momentum, it's that reputation. So that's something else to think about when you're looking at how you are implementing your access. Make it something reliable so that audiences can rely on it and just come and enjoy. How else are people using subtitles? So this is usually the part where we have some discussion, but that's not going to happen here, unfortunately. But some suggestions of how people use subtitles in the modern world. As I mentioned before in a previous video, people use it on public transport when we're allowed outside. They use it on trains, buses, planes. There was a story actually, somebody told me, where they were on the train and they're watching something on Netflix or something, and they noticed that the person behind them was also watching it over their shoulder. So they turned the subtitles on so that person could watch it with them, which was just quite funny. A little bit of community there. But yeah, that's another way. If you're limited in the amount of sound you can have in a public space, but you want to watch something, the subtitles means you can watch it without disturbing people around you. Other cases, if somebody has a sleeping baby in the house and they don't want to have any noise that might wake the baby up because it's very rare for the baby to be sleeping, then they can use subtitles to watch it there. Or waiting rooms. You see this a lot in hospitals or big buildings, banks and everything. They'll have a TV playing with the news playing, and the news will have the subtitles on so that the sound isn't disturbing everyone else in the room. Other cases where it might be used if there's lots of obscure names or words, jargon or something like that. I remember when I went to go see Wicked, the musical, my parents found the captions really useful, even though they were both hearing at the time, because a lot of the words in Wicked are mashed up words or sort of made up words that don't actually exist, and having the captions help them to pick up on that. So this is just something to bear in mind when you're making digital content. It's not just going to be watched on a computer at home, it will be watched on the move, in libraries, on the phone, on the tablet, anywhere. And subtitles really adds value to this and adds to the accessibility in the different situations. So just looking at how subtitles can benefit you some more. So we mentioned SEO before. It was found that adding subtitles to YouTube can increase views by 7.32%. If you get 10,000 views, that's 732 extra views just because you subtitled it. And this partly due to the algorithms. As I mentioned, the SEO is improved, so it can recommend it more and more accurately. And also the algorithms prioritize videos that are subtitled in the search results to promote access. But it's also because when you subtitle it, more people can engage in it, just straight up. Without subtitles, there are people who will watch it, see there's no subtitles and leave. Whereas if you have subtitles, they stick with it. And also, like I said, on YouTube you can filter to only show subtitled videos. So by having it subtitled, you bring it into those people's search results. It's also been shown that a viewer is more likely to watch a video to the end if it has subtitles. 80% more likely, which is a lot. We've all experienced this. We've all been scrolling on our Facebook feed and a video starts auto-playing, and then we're just watching it because we're reading the subtitles. And that just really shows how much subtitles engage viewers and really captures attention. Another story, a colleague of mine said that they were scrolling through Facebook and a video started playing and they were watching it. And before they knew it, they watched a 5-minute video on windmills. And they have no interest in windmills, but it was subtitled and they were just reading and just taking in this information. And following on from this, 85% of video views on Facebook happen through that muted autoplay. So most of the time that people are watching videos on Facebook, they're not actually hearing the sound because it's the autoplay. But with the subtitles, they can still become engaged by what's being said. So if you put all this effort into having a really interesting opener, but it's not subtitled, there's a huge amount of people that are missing out on that. So it just really, subtitles really just grab attention. You know, they grab focus and they keep people engaged with the video. I'm just going to do a little experiment, psychological experiment, just to demonstrate this. Now, this is called the Stroop effect. You might have heard it before. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to flash up some words on the screen, and these words will be the names of colours. And what I want you to do, and wherever you're sitting at home, I want you to say out loud, it has to be out loud, what the name of the colour is, as in the colour of the ink, not the word itself. So we'll just put them up now. I hope that was out loud. And now we're going to do the same again, but again, tell me what the colour of the ink is, not what the word says. Let's put it up now. Okay, again, I hope that was out loud. And hopefully you sort of noticed that the second time round it was a little bit harder. And the generally accepted explanation for this is that as soon as you see the word, you start reading it. So for the first one, purple, in the second line, you start reading the word purple and you have the concept of purple in your mind, but you're trying to identify the orange, and that purple and orange kind of conflicts and slows down the processing. And that just kind of is a demonstration of how reading is just so automatic and we just go into it as soon as we see something without even trying to. And this is true of subtitles. You see subtitles and you start reading. So moving back on to some of the benefits on sort of social media. Adding subtitles have been found to increase likes, shares and comments on Facebook by the amounts here. So 10% increase in likes, 26% increase in shares, 29% increase in comments. And again, same with YouTube. This is because the algorithm can promote it better and show it higher on search results, and also because more people are able to engage with it. And again, this is evidence that there's no loss of engagement from adding subtitles. People may say, oh, do you have to have subtitles? But the fact is that they're not really bothered by them. Nobody minds it on a foreign film or on memes. It's a risk-free situation to add them. And just talking about an example of future-proofing here, online content has a long life, much longer than a production or exhibition. When you put a trailer up or a video up, it tends to be there. Unless you take it down, it could be there for years. You know, it could be there long after all of this is done. And a case study of this, we did a live stream of Winter's Tale. We did live subtitles for the live stream. When it happened live, 800 people watched it, which obviously is great. You know, that's more than you're getting a lot of theatres. And then afterwards, the video was kept online. Not only was it kept online, the subtitles that were done for it were also kept online with the film. And a couple months later, it had nearly 14,000 views. Now, 1 in 6 of 800 isn't that much. You know, a skeptic might say, oh, it's not worth it. But 1 in 6 of 14,000 is over 2,000 people. So since the video was already subtitled when it was made, it was accessible to those extra 2,000 people continuously, and who even knows how many people have watched it now. What this shows is that subtitling is an investment in the future of that video. And also, it's really key that when you subtitle something, when you take that video somewhere else, you take the subtitles with it. Keep them together because they belong together. You know, you've already made that, you've already put the effort and the time and the money into that. Keep it. This is especially true, obviously, for long-running exhibitions. If you've got videos in exhibitions and you subtitle it, that stays subtitles for as long as that exhibition is up. And again, you can put that video in the archive with the subtitles and come back to it years later and it's still there. And obviously, we don't make any guarantees. But if you're putting something on YouTube and you've monetized it and you've got the subtitles which lead to more views, obviously, there's a benefit there. So hopefully you understand now a little bit more about how people use subtitles in their daily lives so that you can ensure that your subtitles fit into that to create a seamless experience. So thanks for tuning in. That was video 3 of 6, so we're halfway through. Woo! 3 more to go. If you're having a good time listening to me ramble on and you're finding these videos interesting or useful or at the very least entertaining, you know what I'm going to say, please consider donating. The link will be in the description. Please also share these videos or this playlist so we can support as many organisations as possible. My email is oliver@stagetech.org. If you want to send me any fan mail or questions, whatever, send them my way. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!